writers and descriptions of 500 significant American works. And now, American Writers from Plymouth, Massachusetts. The life and writings of William Bradford, governor of the Plymouth colony, one of the authors of the Mayflower Compact, and author of the definitive history of the colony of Plymouth Plantation. American Writers, a journey through history.
Campus here. She's Associate Director of Wampanoag Indian Programs for Plymouth Plantation. And in fact, when the Pilgrims arrived, they found a land that it was already inhabited by whom?
It was inhabited in this area by the Wampanoag Nation. The English had landed in the area that we called Patuxet, which was one of many villages that had been wiped out or almost nearly wiped out by European diseases. I'd also like to add that this is not a hut, it's a home, just as anyone else's home is a home.
Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between the Native Americans, the Indians who were here, and the Pilgrims from the earliest days?
I think that the relationship was tentative and cautious. It was the first time that other people had come and settled in our homeland. There had been, you know, for over 100 years, ships coming to fish and trade or explore, but no one had ever settled, at least in this area. So this was the first time that had happened. And for the first several months, the first 6 months or so, you know, the native people were just watching and wondering what they were going to do, watching them build the houses. And it was not until the first spring that they were approached by native people. And at that time, because of the political situation here between tribes, the Massasoit, who was the sachem or the chief of the Pokanoket area, which is now Bristol, Rhode Island, decided to form a treaty of mutual protection with the English.
And how was that treaty enforced?
It was just that they would each help each other if the event rose in the case that they were advanced on by either the Narragansett Indians or other Indians that were not our allies, or other Europeans or pirates.
And how long did both sides respect the treaty?
I think the native people respected it until the death of Massasoit, which was in the 1660s. I have the sense that the English respected it for maybe a week or so.
In a minute, we'd like to, and she will be able to talk to you a little bit about their role and responsibilities and their relationships and their many contributions to the development of this country. Linda Coombs, how is the Native American population interpreted specifically here at Plymouth Plantation?
Specifically, we represent one family of a man named Hobbamock, who was a very high-status warrior who was requested to come here by Massasoit to act as an ambassador and a liaison to the English.
Has ever invited any Wampanoag Indians to Thanksgiving dinner at the White House? And that's my question for C-SPAN.
Thanks very much. It's a question we'll start with Linda Coombs on.
Well, when you talk about the first Thanksgiving, there's the mythology that is popularly known, and then there's the actual events of the time period that took place. Most people know the mythology, which is that the Pilgrims came and settled, and then they invited Indians over for the turkey dinner because they had the successful first harvest, and then you never hear from the Indians again. The actual events of the time period are that the English had come and settled in the Wampanoag territory with no prior negotiations with our leaders. They, as I had said earlier, there was a cautious and tentative relationship that developed, and we're not actually quite sure why the native people ended up at that first harvest festival in 1621. There's a lot of thought about it. We've just had some very large projects to do with that. We're working on an exhibit on that will explore that further and hope to dispel the myth of the happy Indians and the happy Pilgrims, because politically there was a lot going on, and it wasn't as simple is that the Indians were just so glad that the English came here and settled in our territory and then proceeded to take the rest of it, which is what happened after the so-called first Thanksgiving. And I guess I'll just let it go at that and won't comment any further about having dinner at the White House, because perhaps it's a moot point.
Today, the catalyst.
I guess in one sense that's true, but the way that I see it as a Wampanoag person is that, you know, we had a nation of people here. Even though we had been hit heavily with diseases, there was a nation of people here. We had our own way of worshiping. We had our own community and government structure, our own political structure. All of that was in place. To our north was the Massachusetts Indians, to the west the Nipmuc, to the south were the Narragansett. Beyond them, on their borders, there were other native nations, so on right across the country. So the English coming in here and, you know, founding a country, there was one here, and that is never acknowledged. You know, we're just these few little people running around that were sort of in the way, and even, I don't know if it's Bradford or one of the English writers says it was God's providence that the disease of 1616 to 18 cleared the land of us, me, my ancestors, my people, you know, so that they could settle. So I have a lot of questions. You know, I have a lot of, I'm not as comfortable with this, you know, us being a catalyst to the founding of the nation. What was, you know, what we are. And I'm sorry, could you ask the second part of your question again?
He is not on the line any longer.
I've seen most of these belts anyway in pictures, in photographs, or in diagram, but seeing them, you know, live and in person here is a whole different thing. And it just, you know, has allowed me to get that much closer to look at them and to just to be with them and spend time with them has been extremely meaningful.